Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for coming here this morning. We have several elected officials here. Of course, Congressman Bobby Scott, State Senator Mamie Locke, Sheriff Gabe Morgan, Commissioner of the Revenue Tiffany Boyle, Commonwealth's Attorney Howard Gwynn, and of course, my personal favorite, City Council. We have Vice Mayor Curtis Bethany, Councilman John Ely, Councilman Cleon Long, and Councilman Tina Vick. And I'm so sorry, it looks like I skipped Clerk of Circuit Court Angela Reason. Did I miss anyone? I think we're good. So thank you all for being here. Before I introduce Representative Scott, I just want to take a moment and thank you, sir, for all of the work that you are doing in Congress on a national level to help this country, and particularly Virginia's 3rd Congressional District, address the issue of gun violence. While gun violence is a national epidemic, prevention is certainly a priority here in Newport News. That's why, as mayor, I've put together a task force with experts who can help us find viable solutions that will work in this city. Additionally, the city has awarded 19 grants totaling almost $1.8 million to community-based organizations that offer programs, initiatives, and strategies to create change. And we are planning to renew funding that will continue the work of some of these programs. That's why it's imperative that we work together on national, state, and local levels, along with our community partners, to find solutions to this important issue. The funding that we've received today from Congressman Scott will absolutely be helpful in addressing our cause. After I'm done with my remarks, you're going to hear more in detail about how this grant will be put into action from our sheriff as well as our assistant city manager. But I'm most excited about the impact these funds will have on our reentry citizens and victims and witnesses of crime. You will also hear why it is so important to give folks a pathway to a second chance. Because here in Newport News, we believe in second chances. Ladies and gentlemen, U.S. Representative from Virginia's 3rd Congressional District. Oh, sorry. There was a change in the run of show. We're going to have Congressman Scott go at the very end. Next up, Sheriff Gabe Morgan.
We believe in second chances. We also believe in being flexible. I want to thank everyone for being here this morning. So first of all, you took time out of your busy schedule to come here because you understand that what we're trying to do in this community is vitally important. Reducing violence, particularly gun violence, is going to be the hallmark of a safe community, a vibrant community. And this will help to those ends. If you allow me a moment to introduce the folks from my reentry team, led by Major Tracy Hayes, Master Deputy Hodges, Ms. Graham, Ms. Horder Phillips, Mr. Jones, and Corporal Morgan. You know, we started reentry when it wasn't favorable, when it wasn't looked at as something that needed to be done. We started this, Tina, you were around during that time. And I remember convening folks at the city farm, and we brought folks, I believe, Senator Locke, you might have came. I know Congressman Scott was there, and we talked about the need for reentry. We talked about the need for reintegration. We talked about the fact that 95% of everyone that gets incarcerated is coming back to our community. The choice now is, how do you want them to come back? Do you want them to come back with barriers, facing barriers, no place to live, no job, the stigma? Or do you want to say, welcome back? For those of y'all that may be biblical, how do we welcome the prodigal son back? So with that, we set out to do reentry. And when we started reentry, we did reentry with seed money internally. We did it because we believed in it. Created a vision, and those folks I introduced, they took it to a next level. We have a few of our partners in the room, and I want to acknowledge those partners that's been with us throughout and will continue to be with us. We have Corey Hampton from Four Oaks. Mary Knight, who's the Chief of Probation and Parole. We got Marcus Dennis, who is the Chief of Hampton Newport News Criminal Justice Agency. We got our Clerk of Court, Angela Reason. Michelle Handy, who is a private homeowner and realtor, and she has my own mansion. When we have problems trying to house folks, she stepped in the gap. 6 years. One of the biggest gaps that we have is housing. This grant will start to speak to that. We made headways in finding jobs, and we can find jobs, and I want to thank the City of Newport News. Give them a hand. Because they didn't have to do it. But I'll tell the story. Bo, the Assistant City Manager, Bo Clayton, came in, and I talked to him about the need to employ returning citizens. Newport News had vacancies. And my question was, this is the perfect storm. To Bo's credit, he said, let's do it. And we have folks that are employed with the City of Newport News. We have folks that are employed with the City of Hampton, because of course, when Hampton saw that Newport News was getting on the bandwagon, they said, I want some of that too. Charlene's back there going, yep. So we're giving people real jobs, real opportunities with real benefits, but housing was still an impediment. Housing was still an impediment. You don't want folks to go back to the same environment they came out of, and oftentimes they've burned those bridges. So with this grant, we hope to be able to help at least 100 people. Last year, we serviced over 600 returning citizens. And we get referrals from all our partners, probation and parole, community corrections. And what we do is we let everyone do what they do best. And we refer back and forth. And because of that collaboration, our program is a model. And with these funds, we will go ahead and take it to the next level. I want to personally thank the hardest working congressman. You know, he doesn't get his roses often. Congressman Scott has been pushing reentry and second chance as long as he's been in Congress. He's been a champion for our community. He's been a solid partner, and he has been a North Star in the midst of the storm. And for that, Congressman, I thank you. I would be remiss if I didn't thank our city manager and acknowledge her. Cindy, you've done a yeoman's job, and every time we said to you, we need to do this to make the city better, you never hesitated, you stood up, and you've been always supportive of our effort, and we just want to say thank you. With that, let me call up Assistant City Manager Alan Archer.
Good morning. As Sheriff Morgan indicated, much of the $760,000 in our gun violence and violent crime reduction initiative is primarily designed to enhance the Newport News Sheriff's Office reentry work to support returning citizens and decrease rates of recidivism among adult returning citizens. However, the proliferation of firearm-related deaths, law enforcement agencies have diversified their crime reduction strategies and practices to include technology that supports their ability to predict where violent crimes may happen, solve crimes, and improve the safety of victims and witnesses. Automatic license plate readers now and body-worn cameras, pre-crime technology like ShotSpotter, and digital forensic software is transforming how police work is performed in the 21st century. The influx of technology has necessitated the need for infrastructure to support these advances and maximize results that decrease lives lost to violent crime. A second important funding component of the gun violence and violent crime, it's a little bit of celebratory music, and violent crime reduction initiative includes the acquisition of high-speed storage area networks. The storage capacity will allow the Newport News Police Department to manage the volumes of video and digital data received during investigations. Also, the high-speed storage networks will strengthen the department's capabilities to support major crime investigations such as homicides, aggravated assaults, and narcotics. The third and final funding component of the gun violence and violent crime reduction initiative is the expansion of victim witness relocation and safety support through the Newport News Police Department and in partnership with the Newport News Commonwealth Attorney's Office. This component expands the relocation and safety support to victims and witnesses who cooperate with the investigation and prosecution of criminal cases by providing reasonable protection for individuals and their families. As we all know, frequently witnesses hesitate to come forward due to fear or intimidation. Many of them often reside in the same neighborhoods where the violence occurs, which places them in fear of retaliation or harm for their cooperation with prosecutors and law enforcement. This funding will be expended for reasonable lodging expenses, emergency relocation, and the reimbursement of related expenses to keep crime victims and witnesses safe. So in conclusion, the expected outcomes of our violent crime reduction initiative include a reduction in the incidence of gun violence and other violent crime through a decrease in recidivism and the barriers to successful reintegration of adults returning to the community from a correctional institution, an increase in community education, awareness, and engagement efforts around access to reentry programs and services, the implementation of innovative and technology-based enforcement practices and equipment, and an increase in safety and support of cooperating victims and witnesses of crime. I also want to thank Congressman Scott for all of your efforts to secure funding for our Violent Crime Reduction Initiative through the FY23 Omnibus Appropriations Act. We are so appreciative of all of your efforts to reduce violent crime in our community. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce to you this morning Congressman Bobby Scott.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager Archer, Mayor Jones, Sheriff Morgan, other elected officials, ladies and gentlemen. I got to correct you, Sheriff, when you said I've been doing this since I came to Congress. I was doing it before that. There's an article in the local paper in the 1980s was trying to explain where money invested in Boys and Girls Clubs would be better served and more effective than spending another $1 billion on interdiction. Because interdiction, you can never do enough interdiction to get the level of drugs in the city down to where an addict goes to his dealer, says, I need some drugs, and the dealer says, oh, they done caught it all. We're trying to get some shipments and we can't get it through. Or I got to charge you more because they caught so much, we only have a little, so we got to make do with. That's never happened. But $1 billion on Boys and Girls Clubs can get all those young people off the street and into something constructive. And so since the 1980s, I've been doing that and have learned in dealing with crime policy that you have to make a choice. You can follow the evidence and research, reduce crime, and usually save money, or you can codify slogans and sound bites, do nothing about crime, do mass incarceration, and probably help yourself get elected. I'm delighted to see that Newport News has made the right choice because all those little slogans and sound bites, just wasting the taxpayers' money, doing nothing about crime, just is why we need to be here today. Dealing with guns is a particularly difficult situation because the politics has just gone off the rail. It's not only political, it's also partisan. So depending on which side gets elected, you might be able to do something or you might not. But doing something about guns has been a very difficult, challenging political situation. But the fact that Newport News has done the evidence, has done the studies, and hopefully we can put the chief of police and the sheriff and the Commonwealth's attorney out of business because there'd be so little work to do because we've prevented the crimes from happening in the first place. Like I said, the slogans and sound bites, you wait for crime to occur, jump on a soapbox and cry about how much time they're going to get after it's too late, or you can do what Newport News will be doing with these funds and reduce the number of crimes to begin with. And so that's why I'm so delighted to present to somebody. Can all the elected officials, come on, would they come on in? All the elected officials.
We're gonna move right here.
Senator.
We need to move it.
Yeah, we're gonna move right here.
All right. Any other elected officials? All right.
Scoot over a little bit.
We're gonna.
Yeah, let's one step down.
All right, for the photo, sir. Right this way.
And we just kind of fill in behind.
Should some of us stand up here?
Mayor Jones, use it wisely. Okay, we're good.
All right.
So we just wanted to say from the city of Newport News, thank you so much for everyone that took time out of their day to come. Most importantly, our partner agencies, our sheriff, our CA, our clerk of court, everyone that does the work on the ground. We really do appreciate you, and thank you much for being here. And of course, nothing could happen in the city without the help of our city manager. Cindy, we need you to stand. And our two assistant city managers, Alan and Bo. And with that being said, we stand adjourned. Thank you.